I'm now going to do numbers 11 through 16 on page 1 of the chapter. Oops. 4 through 5 review. On number 11, we notice that we have 4x squared minus 25. There are only two terms. The first thing you have to ask yourself, is there a GCF? 4x squared and 25 do not have anything in common. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at this. We're going to say, okay, well, if they don't have anything in common, I don't have a GCF, what else do I notice about it? Well, 4x squared and 25 are both perfect squares. As a result, the difference of perfect squares, you can use this where we said, okay, hey, the square root of a and the square root of b squared, and then I have subtraction difference. And I can factor it as a, the square root of a squared, and b, the square root of b squared, and put a plus and a minus. So we know the square root of 4x squared is 2x. The square root of 25 is 5. Again, we have that subtraction there. Our final factors then are 2x plus 5 and 2x minus 5. That's number 11. Number 12. 3b cubed minus 54b squared. Now we're looking at this, okay, we're saying again, we have two terms only. We do not have perfect squares at the moment. So, but we do notice that, hey, there's 3 b's here and 2 b's here, b times b times b and b times b. We also know that 3 and 54 have a 3 in common. So I'm going to factor out, give me a second. I'm going to factor out a 3b squared, because that's what they both have in common. I'll put that GCF out here, and I say, okay, well, what's left over? 3b cubed divided by 3b squared, we're left with a b, minus 54b squared divided by 3b squared, and that gives us 18. I now have my factor of 3b squared times the quantity of b minus 18. I cannot factor b minus 18 any further, and as a result, I'm done. Let's look at number 13. Number 13, x squared minus 4x plus 3. I luck out because our coefficient here, a, is 1. When a is equal to 1, all I have to think about is what times what gets me 3 that adds to get negative 4. And that's negative 3 and negative 1. All I have to do then when a is equal to 1 is write my factors from whenever I got there with my puzzle. And I'm done. Number 14. B cubed minus 6b squared minus 72b. There's a GCF here. They all have a b in common. I put that GCF out here. I'm left with b squared minus 6b minus 72. Again, I'm going to see if I can factor this any further. And what I like about this is a is equal to 1. All I need to think about is what times what multiplies to get negative 72 that adds to get negative 6. Well, 72 9 and 8. Does 9 and 8 work? 9 and 8 will not work. Let's see, what else? 18 and then 2. I'm sorry, 18 and 4. Does 18 and 4 work? That's not going to work. Let's try 24 and 3. That's not going to work. Let's try 2 and 36. That's not going to work. I believe we have all of our factor pairs here, right here. That's everything that could multiply to get negative 72. As none of these pairs, when you put them together, will get you negative 6. As a result, number 14 is fully factored, with this being your answer right here. Number 15, 2x squared plus 13x minus 7. Here's where you can use the box method. In my 9-10 Algebra 2 class, we didn't use the box method. You'll notice here that a is not equal to 1. As a result, we need to go a couple steps further. So we multiply 2 times 7. 2 times 7 gives us negative 14. We need to think, what times what multiplies to get negative 14? That adds to get 13. And that's going to be 14 and negative 1. Once we know that, we replace this equation. We keep the 2x squared and we keep the negative 7, but we break up this 13x. Watch what we do. 2x squared, 13x gets broken up to 14x minus 1x. Where do those numbers come from? They come from right here. And then again, we have that negative 7. Now we factor by grouping. 2x squared and 14x. I'm going to divide by my GCF, 2x. My GCF goes out here. I'm left with x plus 7. Negative 1x and negative 7. Now, nothing in common, but I can pull out a negative 1. That's going to leave me with x plus 7. These match right here. As a result, I know I've done this right. My final factors are 2x minus 1 times x plus 7. And then finally, number 16, negative 5x squared plus 28x plus 12. I'm going to factor out a negative 1 first of all. Nothing else factors. I don't like a negative as a leading coefficient. When I pull out a negative 1, all the signs change. And now, again, a is not equal to 1 right here. So what I have to do is I have to multiply 5 times negative 12, and that gives me negative 60. I need to think what times what multiplies to get negative 60, that adds to get negative 28. So over here, negative 60. I'm going to think, what are all the factor pairs of negative 60? Well, 6 and 10, 20 and 3, 30 and 2. What am I missing? 15 and 4. What gets us multiplying this puzzle right here? What multiplies to get negative 60 that adds to get negative 28? And I see it right here. 30 and 2 would work. If I take negative 30 and a positive 2, that's going to answer my puzzle. What do I do then? Use a different color. I take 5x squared. I break up negative 28x to what I got right here. Negative 30x plus 2x. And then I have minus 12. I now factor by grouping. 5x squared and negative 30x have a 5x in common. I'm left with then x minus 6. 2x and negative 12 have a 2 in common. I'm left with x minus 6. My final factors then, don't forget about this GCF, very, very important. Negative 1 times x minus 6. We write this common one once, times the leftovers. I think I may have accidentally screwed it up. Let me just talk through this just one more time. I'll use a yellow pen. I think I touched something and it paused my recording. We started with negative 5x squared plus 28x plus 12. I took out a GCF of negative 1. Here are my leftovers. I then multiplied 5 and negative 12 together. That gave me negative 60. I had to think, what times what gets me negative 60? That adds to get my middle term, negative 28x. I thought of all the factor pairs that got me 60. I realized that 30 and 2 works. It fits my puzzle in this box here. I took my trinomial here, 5x squared. I broke up negative 28x, and then I have that negative 12. I factored by grouping. 5x squared minus 30x have a 5x in common with x minus 6 left over. 2x and negative 12 have a 2 in common with x minus 6 left over. I then didn't forget about this negative 1 is my GCF. I wrote my common x minus 6 here once, and then my leftovers, 5x and 2 right here. And this is my final answer. I hope that worked out okay.